Alrighty, welcome back. I'm your man, Bad Chad, and Queen Jolene's on the camera, and we are on air. Today, I'm going to give you my opinion about epoxy. Basically, this is what we're doing, this is where we're at, this is what I'm thinking. On the inside of the trunk, I feel like I sandblasted, I cleaned it up because I had some rust work to fix, you know. Before the trunk lid goes on, I'm thinking it's quicker to do it now than when the trunk lid goes on. That's all that matters. I'm thinking it's easier now. Like I said, I'm going to put some epoxy on it, and then I'm going to rock guard it. And I'm going to explain the reason why I'm going to do it that way. The epoxy, when I epoxy it, I I'm thinking that it's the primer that I do not have to sand. So when I go in here and I put some epoxy primer on it, 15 minutes later, 20 minutes later, I can come in here and put something over top of it without sanding it. Now think about it for a second. If I come in here and put feather fill over top of it, what I usually use, put feather fill and primer in there instead of epoxy. When I come back to put something on top of it, I probably should sand it first. I don't want to do that. If I took lacquer primer and go in there, I feel like lacquer primer would work better than the feather fill, but if I go in there with lacquer primer, you're generally supposed to sand that before you paint. So I'm going to use the epoxy primer so I don't have to sand it. I basically just want to cover it, give it some, I'm not sure what it's going to give it, a little bit of primer, a little bit of roughness, so whatever I apply on top of it's going to stick. And this is the only reason I'm doing it this way is because where I feel I've done the rust work and I want to clean it up a little bit. It didn't look that good inside the trunk. I've got the car all stripped down. I'm kind of committed in a way of going, a certain distance I feel. And I feel like the most reasonable way for me to make this, for me to be happy is a little bit of epoxy and some rock guard, and that way there it'll cover it up nice, and I feel like it should stay good, basically. If I epoxy this, one nice coat or a thin coat that they say, 1 or 2 thin coats, when you throw that outdoors, that epoxy primer that metal will rust outside in no time. If you use lacquer primer, that is a solvent, the lacquer primer that dries really quick. If you back that outside, generally rust will come through. If you come in here and you coated that in feather fill, 3 good heavy coats or whatever you want, you throw that outside and I doubt it will rust. It might rust in the seams, but it will generally hold the rust back. That's what I know for sure. And the reason I'm telling you that, because I have done it. So, as I say that, let's pull it outside and pull a little bit of epoxy inside. We'll do it outside, that way there. The fumes will be outdoors. Jolene will be happy, I'll be happy, and then everybody will be happy. That's as far as I've got it cleaned. There was a little hole right there, a rust spot there. I just put a little piece on there, tacked it, scruffed it up so whatever will stick, and I tacked on each corner, and I will seam seal it. They tacked it, seam sealed it. That's what I'm thinking. So I've got some epoxy already shook up. I've watched some Sousa. I want to say that, some Joe Sousa, he's the chair of the Chad, I guess. He's made a couple videos and he had a couple good things on there I liked. I liked the bed liner thing, that was cool. There was a couple other things I liked also. So anyways, I've got this full epoxy. It says on the can, I'll put glasses on. Got a little bit of oil going around and all that sort of stuff. 2-part 8, 9, 1, 10. 2-part that, 1-part hardener. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to get a cup, Tim Hortons cup. On this car, when we put the floor in that car, I did not epoxy it. I just rock guarded it. And the reason being is, that's not the car that I wanted to spend the material on to epoxy the floor. The car took 80 years to look that way. I'm not looking for a perfect floor in a rusty sort of car, if you know what I'm saying. I feel like there's certain, what? certain way I do things for certain applications. And that car right there was meant to be put together, have a motor put in it, have it running, and that sort of stuff. Sorry, baby. I hit Jolene's arm as I was going by. This stuff is 2-to-1. We've got a shaky table here. It's nervous. Haven't done any painting for a while or any spraying for a while, so we don't want very much of this, like not at all. Like just enough to cover it in there, a light coat, and then we'll rock out it and feel good about it. There's a 2-to-1. Got 2-to-1 on the stick. So we got 2 parts of the epoxy and 1 part hardener. So if I go down here, if I only want a little bit, that's way too much for me, honestly. If I go to the 1 there, that'll give me 2. If I go to 1 there, that'll give me 2-to-1 for what I need, if that makes sense. So 2-to-1 is what I need. I'm going to go a lot less than that, a lot less than that. I'm just going to throw a little bit in and then measure it. And I don't need very much, I guess. Hoping that's enough. And the thing is, I don't want to waste any of this stuff. Like what can I say? A can of this hardener that goes with it, probably $100-some, $200. It's quite a bit of money, really. And you say you don't want to, want to use it on that, use it on that. Well, like, you have to, I guess, weigh your odds, I guess. That's all it gets. That's all we got. It's hard to believe a can of that would be worth that much money. Go buy it. And when you mix up too much of this stuff, it's like, ugh. Don't know if the mixture is exactly 2-to-1. Do not know. Doesn't matter. It does not matter. It's suggested. Let's put a mask on. Got the sniffies. Glasses on. Thanks for coming back, everybody. We really appreciate it. Just want a light coat on it. And we're only going so far out. I would say the perfect amount. Just gotta get some thinner in the gun. Spray that through it. When I'm cleaning the gun, I just spray it. Once in a while, I hold my finger over the end of the nozzle, so the thinner goes back up inside the gun and cleans it a little bit more, and then keep doing the process. thing on the side of the trigger. I can make it wider or thinner with this. That stuff is very strong, isn't it? Phew. Wow. Wow. Put that right there. I'm going to dump a little more thin in this thing here. Bear it with you. And come down. Just want to put a little more thinner in the gun that I got there. Now that epoxy, we're just going to let that set for a little bit. And then we'll go rock garden it. We'll rock guard it. That's how I feel like I want to do it. Epoxy now, you could epoxy that and you could run some, you know, I'd probably, if I was going to paint it, I'd probably put another coat of epoxy. I'd wait a little bit, put another coat on it, just get a little bit more coverage. I wouldn't want to leave it like that thin if I was going to paint it. But, and then you could come in and spray paint on top of that without doing all that sanding. So you're skipping a bunch of work. Basically, that's what I think it's sort of made for skipping some work. And it makes sense. Whenever you can, you know, make something easier, I should just go for it. But this sort of stuff down here is really, like, I think it's going to be really hard to get in there once I get the trunk lid on. Get the rock guard going. Reason I want to put the rock guard on first, I find a seam seal after the rock guard's on, give something for the seam sealer to stick in too nice, and then when I get the seam sealer on, I'll rock guard over that again to make it look even better, so you can't tell things have gone on. Got a can left. You know, we could have left this part of this process out and not showed you, but, you know, I'm using epoxy and I'm telling you what I'm using it for. You can take it if you like it. If you don't like it, throw it away. Like I said, like anything. That's even in life. If you like something about somebody and you want to take that part of them and use it for yourself, go for it. If you understand what I'm saying. Yeah, so that's basically where I'm at with that. That's where I think I'm taking this car. You know, that's how far I'm taking it. If I was taking it further, I'd epoxy it, I'd prime it, and then I'd sand it and make it look good. Maybe fill all the places that have been welded. You know, if you're taking it that far and you're making it look, if you're trying to make something look perfect, well, that means you take the time, you prime it, you sand it, you fill all the places that don't look good, just like you do on the outside of the body. I know how to do the outside of the body, so I understand how it takes to do the inside of the body. I think that's why I'm interested in not flipping them upside down and doing them all over anymore. That's what I used to do for a living, is restore cars. I'd have one flipped up and down that end, one flipped up on its side on this part, one flip upside on this part, and pieces inside painting. When I didn't have work on one, I went to the other one, to the other one, to the other one, to the other one, until they were completed. And to be honest with you, that's when I learned that when the price goes up, the happiness goes down. That's when I learned that. Also, I learned how much work it takes to get a car done. I'm not interested in it. That span of time for one visual, not interested anymore. I have a few of them done that way. I might change my mind someday, but not right now. Does that make sense, baby? Does it? I'm going to rock guard that bad boy. Softest touch is the back of the hand. Softest touch is the back of the hand. You want to go in your finger, you're going to put a print in it. You can touch it softer with the back of your hand. Nothing's coming off. Going for it. There we go. Just going to go up so far. I'm not going to go up all the way because I'm going to end up welding up here. Not looking to catch it on fire. I'm just looking to do a change. Light coat, and then we'll put a heavier coat on after. Got my finger in the way. And I'll continue this process straight up through, you know. I can blast it and clean it a little bit and then epoxy it and rock guard it and get it all clean inside. Like we'll make the wheel wells look better. I figure, like, why not? If we're going this far, I might as well, you know, I guess there's a certain level that I'm going to go to on this one. And I hope that you understand. This is definitely not a lowrider. I got a few more years to go. Just gonna coat it, light coat it. That's where the gas tank goes. Cover that up. I'm going to sell some of my projects. I'm going to put them on Marketplace or Kijiji or something like that. But what I'm afraid of is people calling, and that's what I'm afraid of. Like, we're just, like, Jolene's so busy doing things. You know, it's hard to deal with some of it. But I think I'm going to put them for sale. I'm going to price them right. And then I hope someone gets a cool project for the winter, because I am going to price them right so they sell. Believe me, guarantee it. The Dodge car that we made into a pickup, I sell that for $5,000. The 60 or the 58 Thunderbird that we put an engine in, we put a transmission in, we've done a bunch of work to it. It's a real good car. $5,000. I got a good price on it. I got to have my money back for the engine. There's a new transmission we put in there, and there's some stuff on there that I bought for the brakes and all that stuff. $5,000. The Pontiac that we made into we had a little chop class, and it's made into a coupe from a 4-door, and it drives, it stops, it rocks and rolls. $5,000. And the reason being is it's okay. I want to move on. I feel like them projects are probably never gone to, well, some of them are basically completed, but some of them are not. And I feel like I want to move on to build different things. I've challenged myself. I know I can build a car into a truck, if you know what I'm trying to say. That sort of stuff. The 4-door car that we turned into a coupe, I know that can be done because we did it. But I want more room for maybe different projects that I want to venture on. There's a couple things I want to move on and do. And I feel to let them go and move them along would be good. We have a 40 coupe me and Jolene worked on, $5,000. That's a good looking car, just needs to be completed. We're going to sell the 37 Chev that we got from the older guy out in Kingston Way, and we will sell that for the exact same price we put into it. Just to move it along, because new projects are coming in, and I don't feel like I want to change that car. It runs good, it drives good. There's no sense me cutting the roof off it, and when I've got so many other projects that really probably need attention. Don't think it's fair, but I'm willing to push some of them on to let them go. So there's the car turned into a truck for $5,000, the Thunderbird for $5,000. That's like, they're smoking deals, to be honest with you. Pontiac 2-door coupe, $5,000, just to keep it simple. 40 Dodge coupe that we have, $5,000. And the 37 Chev that we bought from the old guy. I just don't think I'm going to customize it. And I might as well move it along the road. So if you heard that, I don't know what to say. Don't bug Jolene if you're not interested. Please do not bug Jolene if you're not interested. If you're willing to come here and just hand down the money and take it, that's what we want. I'm not dickering with anybody on anything, because I know. If you want it, it's something to start with. They're not perfect. They all still need work. Yep, they all still need work. And they're all not perfect. And they're all built to a certain way just to get it done, to be honest with you. But if you think it could make you happy for the winter, it's a reasonable price to start at. And the baby. You got that right. She got her mask on. I'm just going to put this can on and just keep rocking and rolling here. Tomorrow I should be ready to, I'll seam seal this, and I should be ready to put the trunk lid on or start getting it in place. Basically with the trunk lid, I'm going to center it, get it in place, and then work to it. That's all I can do. Get the trunk lid on, get it in place, and then work to it. I don't know how to buy the cars, to be honest with you. Not allowed to bug us, not allowed to call us. Put them on, we'll put them on Kijiji or something. We'll deal with it somehow. But I'm not interested in dickering and talking about it or whatever. I have no problem selling it to you. You can take it home, do whatever you want with it. But not going to be in the dickering and trading and looking at it and hemming and hawing. Like, you're either positive or sure, or what do you think, baby? Look good? Looking better? Certain applications get different ways of going. But one thing I will say, now we've got a nice piece of metal going in the inside here. Nothing's rotted out, nothing we have to be afraid of. We've still got some stuff like this to deal with, but that's when we build that in. But everything that we got going on, I'm happy with, because all the rot has been fixed. And we've epoxied it, we've rock guarded it. We'll have a nice side inside the trunk. When you open up the trunk, it should look good. Go ahead. All we're going to do now is we're just going to let that dry, and then we're going to pack in and seam seal it. And then I feel like we should be ready to continue on with the metal work. I just basically want to get that done because it's the right time. That's it. Rock guard's dry. Now we're just going to, back of the hand, softest touch. Good and dry. I feel like we're okay. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to push it inside. It feels like it might rain. Might rain. Today is Saturday. I'm just kind of wondering if anybody's working on their project on a Saturday and what they're working on. And, you know, as I'm trying to sell them projects, winter's coming. Winter's coming. Get a project and go for it. You know, put a goal out. You know, it doesn't have to be finished. Just go out and have fun with it as you're working on it. If you're going to start a project, have fun with it. Keep the price down. That way there you won't be mad in the end. And think about that all the time. Like, whatever you can do to make it go easier, go for it. All right, you got some seam sealer here. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to seam seal that thing. I've got to blow my schnoz. Excuse me for a minute. Alrighty, we got that done. Got some seam sealer here. This is what it is right there. So that's what I've been using. Automotive seam and joint sealer. So there's two joints coming together. I think they made it because the factory uses it, I guess. We can see it on the Volvo, actually. That's a sharp razor blade. And a baby. Huh? There's many different ways that I can put this on. I do not feel like, as I'm doing this right now, I do not feel like it really much matters which way I put it on, as long as it's done reasonably neat. But I'm thinking, if we come over here for a second, we'll just do it over here, I guess. You can see how it's put on there. It's kind of, you know what I mean? Like it's blown on there or something. It almost looks like it's been wiped in there with like a paintbrush, because you can see it's all over the place. They really didn't care how they put it on, just as long as they did put, well, I shouldn't say they didn't care. They probably had just about the right amount of time to put that on before it went down the line and someone else got it. That's a big, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. They had a certain amount of time to do that. And you can see that things move and you know, go apart. That probably was seamed together at the first, but you know, how cars move and all that sort of stuff, let's face it. But basically, that's what they did, and that's what it is. So I'm basically just going to replace it with the exact same stuff is what I'm figuring. But you would want to look at that and see, basically try to put it on that looks like that to me. If it's all splashed over the place and got quite a width to it, that's probably what I would go with. It's kind of nice sort of down through here until about there. But yeah, like you can take, like you can put it on with a brush. It's a little bit thinner and try to swoop it on like that. You can take your fingers through it and wipe it on with the glove on, or if you want to, and do it like that, try to smooth it down. You can try to make a nice bead all by itself, all the way down through, try to make a nice bead. Or you could tape it off on this side, tape it on that side, run the bead down through the middle of it, put it on nice with your finger, then pull this side off, and then pull that side off, and then you'd have a straight line of seam sealer. You can do that. You can put it on, just rub your finger through it. All depends. It's all up to the person that's building, I guess. They did it like that. I'm okay with the factory car. So I feel like I'm okay if I get a little bit of shit going, you know what I mean? Not looking the greatest. I'm okay with it. So I'm gonna put a pair of gloves on. I sort of like to have like a little paintbrush about that wide so I could dip it in some thinner. Once I put it on, I could make it look exactly like that. So you wouldn't think that it's ever been done. You would think, you know, that's the way they must have done it. You can see over top of this thing, this piece of metal laid over top of this one, just spot welded on, just put seam sealer on either side. Basically what I'm going to do around that piece. I don't feel it's going to hurt anything. No paint brushes, huh? Just going to take a look for a second. I'm trying to fit these mitts on, these gloves on. Don't see anything. I'm just going to do it with my fingers, I guess. I got some thinner. I'm going to bring that over. Thinner, just, you know, make it slide through it nicer. This is not the best stuff to deal with, to be honest with you. We're going to put it on this side here first, and the reason being is you got quite a gap going on there. I really don't want to see all them spot welds like that. I want to cover it in seam sealer so it looks good. I'm just going to start back where they were. I'm just going to make sure there's enough in there. This stuff shrinks just like everything else. Just seals it up, obviously, and it hides where something is put together. That's what it does. I didn't weld all the way down and through here on this quarter panel. I didn't feel it was necessary because I'm going to seam seal it anyways. I didn't feel it was necessary. Simple as that. That's what you get to do when you're building your own car. Make a choice how you want it done. You know. Just going to put a little bit through here. It's where it was welded, just to make it look a little bit better. That seam sealer will take out, you can see like little pockets in it where it's welded. It's not perfectly welded there and ground there. So just take a little seam sealer, put it inside like that. You'll have to tell me when we're all done. Just tricks of the trade, eh? You know, not doing anything no one else can do. Just makes the work look a little better. You know? Sometimes it don't matter how it gets done, just as long as it gets done. Hope that makes sense. Right now I'm just kind of wiping it in with my finger real quick while it's wet. That way there. Get rid of that real quick. When you get back into it again 3 or 4 more times, it generally doesn't play well. It doesn't play well. So I'm going to go along the back here. I don't know if I like what's going on there yet. You like that? I think I'm going to slide it in a little bit I'm going to run my finger over it. I'm going to go with that instead. Run across the back here. Just make sure we got enough. Put a little piece in there. I want to rub the back side of that. Something gets in there. A little piece right here, put in there. I want to get on the back side of that. Just seal it off. That will never go anywheres. Never go anywheres. A little bit of welding up here it was. Just rub a little seam sealer on the back side of it. No one's going down in there. Alright, I can always put more seam sealer in. I like all that. Let's put some on this side. Get a little piece right here, see where it's overlapped? Got a little pinhole right there. Seam sealer goes over top of that, you know what I mean? I am not going to weld that up and put heat in that and worry about that, because that's a seam that needs to be seam sealed. Get over, stand up straight for a second. Woo, stand up straight for a second. This is what I'm going to do. And I suggest you do it too. Not worry about it, because it's not going anywhere. Once you fill it full of that seam sealer again, get it off on both sides. Make that seam. Yeah, leave it like that. On this side, we're going to let that dry like that. You see where it come out there? And when that dries, before I epoxy it, I'll wipe a little seam sealer on this side. That'll never come off. And saves you the work. Why not? Makes sense to me. I'm going to put seam sealer in this anyways. Yeah, it's kind of on thick on this side. Get up in there. Yeah, I've got a few places up in here that I could probably put some on, just to fill the hole that cracked before, just because it shrunk. You never know I was in there. You never know. This piece right here. No harm, no foul. What it looked like before. I just peeled it all off and it was old. This practice here is probably done on 99% of restorations. This job right here. And there's usually one person in the shop that's better than all the rest. That's how it works, generally. Got my one little piece I gotta fix. I got a big goober weld there from factory where they blew a hole through it. I should be able to put a piece of metal on it like this and cover it up, seal it off, and be happy with it, shouldn't I? Sure I should. Oh, look at that little piece. I put that in there. Might as well cover the whole thing. Probably should even cover that weld. Just put a little bit in it. It'll shrink, but it'll make that weld look better. Should smooth that off so it looks better. Sometimes it's hard. When we throw rock art over it, it might disappear it. That's what I'm thinking. A little bit here, where I put that piece in. Just rub a little seam sealer over there where I welded it. Up in there. All the way along the whole thing. Just smooth it off a little bit. Using seam sealer like body fill almost. But it's too easy. Why would you not? Just blend it in a little bit, that's all. Couldn't, like right here, where it was welded on, you can see right here I welded on. Barely, you can see what it's welded on, but you know, if someone's really looking, they might know. Now we're just going to make it a little bit harder. Just a little bit, not a lot, just a little. Just take that down there. Just take that edge off. Nobody's welded nothing there when I rock guard that again. No one would even know that there was ever a piece put there. Yeah, so that's going good. We'll let that dry. That should probably dry for about a half hour. We'll let that dry. And you, like I said, there's so many different ways that you can do this. And you do it the way you think you want to do it. If you want to rip that all back out, you do not like it, and do it, you can weld it all in and grind it so there's no seam sealer. You can do it that way if you want to. There's so many different ways you can do something. And when you see, you know, these beautiful cars, basically it's not that you can't do it. It's whether you want to put commitment and time into it. It's like, how long do you want to stay at it? How long do you want to do it? You'll have to figure that out on your own. But if you want to build a really awesome car, it takes time. This piece right here we put in, we butt weld it. Let's put a little bit of seam sealer on it so you can't tell when we rock guard it. Just noticed it on the other side. I can see some, yeah, it just takes time. If you want to put the time in, make it come true. Get her sealed off best we can. Now we're not too high either when we start welding something that's going to catch on fire, because I can get back in there, obviously do a little bit more, but I feel it's good. So I'll let that dry for a little bit, probably half hour or so. By the time you come back, we'll be ready to put some rock art on it again. You'll get to see what it looks like right from start to finish. All right, we're on to the last part to finish it. We have seam sealed it. We have, as far as I'm concerned, good enough for me. You can seam seal it different if you want to. I've showed you many different ways, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to do to make you happy. We're just going to rock guard it again, and do not forget, once I rock guard it and then I walk away, if I do not like something, seam seal it again, rock guard it again, no sanding, no nothing. Just get back into it and do the process again, like if you don't like it. So if I don't like that there, or if I don't like that there, or I don't like whatever, I don't like that up in there, make sure, go back into the seam sealer, wait till it all dries and do it again. You know, it's a pretty simple process, and I guess you'll get, in the end, what you put in, I guess. So basically time is the issue when it comes to building a car. This will just give that that seam sealer, like just feather it in a little bit, it will. Make it look good. Like Jolene. And a little texture, trying to hide things. And give it protection. I think the satin black what hides things, which is nice. The satin black color, that's what hides, and gives it a protection that you can be happy with, you know. I think you can be. I can. If I can, you can. It's like a tattoo. I couldn't do that. Yes, you can. Other people can, so you can. You would not know I welded that across there and welded that piece down there. I got that a little wet, got a little excited, I did. When you think about it, we did that video on the 300, on the Mercury, the 51, the, you know, futuristic 51 when we were in Finland. You know, quite a piece of art, to be honest with you. But same process on the inside of the car as I'm doing right now. Same process, just a little different material. You know, I think one's a little harder than the other. Same material, just same process. You know, as you did the whole inside of that car. You know. What's that? Yeah, I guess Raptor bed liner. I think Joe Sousa actually made some, which impressed me. I was on the plane watching that, Joe. I thought it was pretty cool how you know, that was cool. Don't hide nothing, buddy. Don't hide nothing. Tell everybody everything. Why not? That's how I feel. You want to crucify me? At least I told you. You're not holding, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, anybody got something against me? Well, you know, just the truth. That's all. Starting to look really good. What you're working on. That's what I want to know, what you're working on. What project you got this winter. Trying to motivate somebody to get into old car hobby. Spend your money. Spend it. What the hell? Spend it. Can't take it with you. Write a check and put it in your back pocket when you get there. Maybe you can spend it. Spend it. Why not? Give someone a job. Go on the adventure of, why did I do that? It's fun, actually, to create. Do it your way. It makes you happy. It's starting to really look good. I think I got everything covered. I'm just going to back off for a minute. I got some more to spray. I don't know if I need to put you through that or not. I got a little, probably half a can. I'm going to spray it in there because I just feel like, you know, 2 cans is, I mean, let's face it, it's probably the cheapest protection of that trunk that I could get. So $30, $15 a can. I can't put a coating on the trunk any cheaper than $30 time I get a gun out and mix some epoxy and primer and sand it, and like, you couldn't get any more reasonable than that, I don't think. I feel like that would last a lifetime if you wanted to undercoat that or spray that with any kind of undercoating after you've done that. It'd be over. Yeah. Thanks for coming back. I really appreciate it. Anything I'm missing, baby?
Tomorrow we start fabricating.
Tomorrow I'm going to start placing the trunk in place. I guess that's where it's going to get good. How am I going to go about that? And I've been thinking of a few different things, to be honest with you, as I get looking at it more. But you come back and we'll do it together, and that's what we'll do. If you like what's going on, you might as well press the subscribe button. And if you need to comment on what project you're working on, because winter's coming, show us what project you're doing. And anybody that throws in a comment, thank you very much. Come back tomorrow, and I'll be here.